Hey, what's going on, party people? It's your radio love, Deja Vu. You know we always have your favorite celebs. One of my faves is in the building, Miss Tamron Hall.
Hi.
How are you? Wait, hold on. Wait.
Uh-oh.
Two-time Emmy Award-winning television host and executive producer.
Go on.
And author, veteran journalist. Tamron Hall.
As opposed to journalist. I'm a journalist.
Journalist. How are you?
I'm great. I'm even better to be here with you. You look so beautiful.
I like the little thing on the arm.
I
That's
mean,
so
this
cute.
is like nothing compared to your Janet Jackson.
Girl, listen, I'm trying
Rhythm
to channel.
Nation
Janet,
over here.
I'm coming to one of the shows.
Yes. yes. She's got residencies popping up all the time. I actually saw her the last time she was in Newark. She's killing it always.
Yes. And so are you.
Thank you.
Super busy. I hear that you're in your 7th season now?
We just got renewed for our 7th season, which starts in September.
Okay.
So we are still in the throes of season 6.
Season 6, but 7 is on the horizon.
Yes, it is. And we made the official announcement. I'm so excited. People don't realize we do 170 shows a season.
Wow.
We start the season in September, and it usually wraps in June, and we fit in 170 shows. So I know it's a whole different dynamic than what I'm used to. When I was in news, as we say, very different environment. But yeah, I tell someone I finally now accept that this is really entertainment, right? It is a one-woman show, and I'm walking out there doing 2 shows a day, but I'm doing it with my best friends known as the Tam Fam. So it's a very interesting dynamic. But yeah, season 7, I just got an email from a gentleman who was a part of the beginning of the show when I was first pitching it to ABC Disney, and he said, gosh, can you believe you were pregnant for the pilot? I just learned that I was pregnant with my son. A global pandemic. I did the show for an entire year from my basement, which was not prepared for that, and neither was I. Came back to no audience and then trickled in, and now we are in a brand new studio and had the largest audience numbers yet in both in person and in viewership. It's just been wild. It's been a really wild ride, I have to tell you.
Well, that means they're connecting with you.
Oh, you know
or
what?
something.
Oh, I hope so. I know that they are connecting, and for a long time I wasn't able to so confidently say that. Sometimes we're so trained not to speak out loud our successes.
Right.
And, this show is in its season 7, not by coincidence.
What do you think has changed about you and the show and your approach since you started?
I think that in general in life, I've changed. I'm now 54. I was 40.
Let me tell y'all, look how gorgeous this woman looks.
Well, that's because I got a team. I learned to give people credit. No, I think just like any human being, that's almost 8 to 10 years. I mean, any of us can look at our lives and say, wow, how have I changed? And not just through career. It kind of coincides. So I've changed in many ways. I think I am absolutely certain that storytelling matters more than anything else professionally. I think that, when we first started the show, there's always this obsession of, the big celebrity. What are we going to get? Who are we going to get? Who are we going to get? And those matter, but they resonate more when that big celebrity comes on and has a conversation with you, is talking about something and has something to offer more than here's my movie, here's my book, and roll out to the next show.
Right.
And so now I'm more solidified in that. When we first launched the show, initially when I said I wanted an hour-long conversation, there was a lot of resistance because people felt that that type of daytime TV was a bygone thing,
Why would they think that when we still had that?
Well, we actually didn't, to be honest with you. We had hour-long shows, but multiple guests, not one topic.
Got it.
And so those days were seen as bygone, that I think one person said to me, people's attention spans, we're scrolling, we're not interested in one topic. And I believe that we had an opportunity to fill that space, right? I could come on with a show that, had 4 and 5 celebrities, which is great. I watch every show. I still sleep with my TV on. I am a TV kid. I can tell you my lineup from when I was, I think, 7 years old until now. But I knew it would be a misstep for me to come on and try to be like everything that was on at the time. And so we said, okay, well, I hosted a crime show for 6 seasons. I hosted Sister Wives, the reunion for it. That's a whole nother party. I was on the Today Show. I was on MSNBC and TLC and all these different things that I'd done. And now we could bring all of those audiences to one show. So we still do a True Crime with Tamron Hall hour, for example.
Right.
Where we talk about things in the headlines. And it has now dovetailed into a new show that I have on Freeform and Hulu called How I Escaped. But we also, I love kids. So we have our big dreamers, little dreamers, big dreams, because I just love the idea of, I was the kid who, when we would do talent shows when I was younger, and my cousins could all sing and dance, and I was the Johnny Carson. I was introducing the next
you and
act.
me both, because I would be so jealous.
No, I wasn't jealous. I knew I was the boss. I was introducing them. Get out here and let me see what you got.
I wanted to sing, but thank God that things went into other ways, because being a singer is hard.
It is a little hard, and now you got to sing and dance, and neither am I equipped for. But I was like the announcer, so now it played to what we do now. We play to our strengths, and that's kind of like the show. I said, let me play to my strengths. I'm not a naturally funny person, but I think I can be somewhat funny. So put me around a bunch of kids, and somehow I'll become a little funnier. So we have all of these things, and then the up and coming designer series, which no one was doing in daytime.
Girl, I love that.
Thank
That's
you.
one of my favorite sessions of what you do on the show,
wow.
because you find so many different designers. You see what they're doing. You get all these different trend looks. I'm like, oh, this is hot.
That's what was so fun about it. The up and coming designer series really was the first season of the show, and I thought about the fact that I grew up in a very small town. Many of my big event outfits were made by someone. We didn't have the money to go into a department store and get a big, beautiful dress, but someone could make me a beautiful dress, and I would rock it better than anything else, I thought, at age 4. But it was my love letter to people whose dreams are sometimes deferred, and still having that burning desire. So we wanted up and coming designers, but we wanted people who, for example, we just had this past class, as we call them, a woman who was a pharmacist by day, and she would go home at night and still sew, and she made the most beautiful knockout dress for me. We had a young woman from the Bronx, and she had appeared on another reality show and did well, but thought business was going to be booming, and it didn't, because even in this exposure-driven world, the exposure doesn't always turn into that dream happening. So it was really important that we had folks who were examples of what I think we all experience, which is it going to happen for me? And when is it going to happen for me? And so and they get to dress me for the week. And we've done it now, 6 or 7 seasons. We've had folks sell out shows. We've had people sell out things. Andre Leon Talley kicked it off as our first mentor. Dapper Dan was our recent mentor, but we've had, every Norma Kamali, we've had Kenneth Cole, Bagley Mishka, everything, and they all do it for free, and it's not a contest.
That's beautiful.
I think it's wonderful.
So look, you're planting your feet up in here with this whole talk show game, creating new opportunities for people that will be memorable. And now you're still evolving with more books. So we know that you have your crime series and all that stuff. Yeah. And now you have your children's book.
Yeah, it's so wild because the Jordan Manning series, which was the crime series, and we're now in book 2 of that. I thought, okay, this protagonist who is a, crime solver, that was written during the pandemic. And I think emotionally that's where I was. And then after we got back in the studio, I wanted to reveal the side of me that I love to cook. I probably cook 5 times a week. I leave the studio from our show and
That's
I go
right.
home and
You had
cook.
the cookbook.
I had the cookbook, A Confident Cook, which was, again, another love letter to my father who passed away when I moved to New York and who had a great love of cooking. And I didn't fully appreciate that love until he was gone. And I wanted to remember him this way. So I teamed up with one of my best friends, Liz Steiling, with this James Beard Award-winning producer, and with this phenomenal cookbook. Then I thought, okay, what else do I want to offer in this space of my heart? And my son Moses is now 5. He is quite a character. But during the early stages of his life, he's what they refer to as a pandemic baby. He was shut down like the rest of us. And I extended my time in the home longer because I'm a single hosted show. And if I wasn't in a safe space, then we were worried about the show. And so my son, therefore, stayed inside a lot longer. And his world went from cousins and grandmas and grandpas and traveling to this small world like a lot of kids in his age group. He was a year old, just about to be a year old when the shutdown happened in New York. So fast forward, he's outside and he's a lot more shy than I ever imagined. I mean, at home, he is talkity talk. He is Mr. Got something to say about everything, blah, 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 blah. And then we would go out. And like a lot of kids, just with or without a pandemic, he would hide behind me.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, what's going on here? How do I have a age-appropriate conversation about fear and about how on the other side of fear usually is something really cool, right? It's a friend. It's a new place. It's something that you like.
New experience.
New experience. And I noticed that we talk a lot about, teaching kids that you can cry, right? You don't say boys don't cry anymore. You don't say big kids don't cry. Crying has its purpose, but it's hard to talk about fear.
Yeah.
Right? Because fear is something you're taught you should run from, or we don't talk about you're not afraid. Get out there. And it's like, no, I am afraid. And it's okay. I get afraid now. I don't like to go places alone. I still don't.
Girl, listen.
Like to go places alone. And you ask yourself, why don't I? Well, it's natural to be somewhat intimidated by a new room, a new place, a new situation. And so with this book, Harlem Honey, which is where I first took my first home with my son, I thought, let's set out on this adventure and let's celebrate curiosity and let's talk about new places and new faces. And I thought that our townhouse in Harlem was a great launch point because where you first learn the world is the first step you take out of your front door, wherever that front door is. Mine happened to be Luling, Texas. Somebody watching or listening now might be Chicago, might be, I don't know, Beaumont. But the first exposure to the world is when you walk into your neighborhood, whatever that neighborhood looks like.
I love the book in that you are exposing him to different things and showing him, hey, this is what happens over in this part of Harlem. And then we go over here and he has a friend that he's meeting with him as well. Yeah. Have you experienced this Harlem with Moses and a new friend?
Absolutely. We loved our home in Harlem, and I love and still obviously frequent all of the restaurants and all the sights and scenes. By the way, I just went to the amazing new Mexican restaurant in Harlem. I won't tell you the name because I don't want to be. I don't want to so hot. I don't want it so hot. It's Kachina. It's amazing that the chefs were on my show. But for me, I'll tell you, as glamorous as the Apollo is, or as amazing as Sylvie is in the history, my most treasured experience with my son, and that's why I said the adventures of a curious kid, is that every day we walk out, right? We see the same thing. We're immune to the lights of the world, right? And one day I was walking with my son. He just turned about, 2.5. And he was so fascinated with the fact that every home had a number and an address. And he's like, what's that? And I said, that's the address. Oh, and then he's like, that's just 135. That's just 13, And I thought, wow, every single day we send mail, we put our address down, and we take that little detail for granted. But for a 3-year-old, that is an incredible discovery. And I am, and I don't know about you, I tend to time my day to the minute. So I found myself in his early stages rushing. Okay, let's we got to get going. Got to get in the car. We're always got to go. Got to get. And with him, I've learned, wait a minute, let me take a step back. This is the first time this kid has ever seen a taxi. Right. This is the first time this kid has ever seen this block. That every minute of the day is a first for him at this young age. And it's an opportunity for me as an adult to exercise patience. So through this little character, Moses, inspired by my son's real name, and his best friend, we have an opportunity to see the world, see this neighborhood through their eyes. I was purposeful in using music and food because those are common threads, right? You know that better than anyone.
Of course.
Music can bring anyone together. And food is the same. You learn so much about someone's culture, someone's relationship, someone's grandma, anything.
And they submit
food.
Memories too.
They
Music
submit
and
memories.
Food. You have a food memory. Oh, and grandma fixed this.
Yes.
Or when I went over to so-and-so's house and they first gave me this.
Yes. Let me tell you, that's so funny you said that because going back to my dad who loved to cook, I never, ever, ever missed a holiday, even in college. And then one year I got the bright idea to go to a friend's house. I hope she's not listening. And she said, my mom's cooking. We go to her house and I stayed for Thanksgiving. What might have been the worst meal. You know that song that Rappers Delight with the food was so bad?
Yeah.
I was like, this is the worst meal I've ever had in my life. Oh, fascinating. And it left such a memory where I said, I will never, ever, ever, ever miss Thanksgiving as long as I live with my father. And food, they bring on good memories and challenging memories, but most important, you learn about people. I learned that my friend's mom can't cook. Ooh. And I, to this day, get her a little something delivered. It's an ongoing joke with us. I deliver her a little pie every Thanksgiving because hers was terrible and she knows that. But no, I think it's a common thread. And for me also, looking at the children's literature landscape, I'm so happy and proud that many of the books are meant to empower young girls, right? We've moved from the princess that needs to be saved.
Yes.
I remember taking my niece Gianna to see Brave, and, for the first time, Disney princess, I was like, I don't need you to help me. I'm going to help you, little guy, And I thought in the space of books that I was finding that were many of the protagonists were young girls, meant to empower them and meant to show us that we are brave, that we are our own leaders. And for my son, I did not have as many choices. And this protagonist was meant to represent this little boy's journey. Dora the Explorer inspired me. I said I wanted this to be a travel series where he goes into different neighborhoods and he explores different things. But so many, you asked me earlier in the conversation about what's changed in my life. You know, this book awakened this boy mom in me that I wasn't expecting. I thought I was for sure going to have a little girl, and we were going to wear matching poofy tops like the one I have on now, and we'd be twinning down the streets of New York, everyone's envy. And then I had a little boy, and I'm like, okay, I spent the first night looking up how to decorate his room, and everything was like a construction or dinosaur, or I jokingly say a nightclub owner in Miami because other clothes are all flashy. I'm like, okay, these are my choices, a bro or a nightclub owner. And then, as I said, I started to look at this unique journey of a boy who identifies as a boy and also should be taught that he is empowered. Yes. Also should feel his curiosity is rewarded. Also should be an ally, which is why the friend in the book is a strong young female protagonist. But also give moms and dads, grandparents and friends an opportunity to read a nighttime story or just a story while you're flying with a little boy protagonist to remind us that little boys aren't scary.
Right.
They experience fear just like anyone else, and that they are there to be supported and empowered in the same way we are so mindful about with young girls.
I think that's a great thing because you don't see that a lot, especially for a young boy of color. And then also, I think in reading the book, I saw a little bit of everybody. Everybody, if you're reading it, your mom, your auntie, grandma, dad, you can see a little bit of yourself in it. And another cool thing that I loved at the end was that you gave all the different references to Sylvia's and the Apollo, and you talked about different people who were from there. Talk about that historical importance.
That was so important because I think, listen, when I first moved to New York, I was like, beeline me to Harlem, and really always found myself gravitating to that part of Manhattan. And I remember it was a jarring conversation when I was living in Harlem, and in fact, when I was launching the show, my talk show. And I said to someone, I had invited a few of the executives over to my home to talk about the show.
Oh, wow.
And this person said, you can't let them come to Harlem.
Excuse me?
And that's what I said. And I said, what do you mean I can't let them? No, you should meet them downtown. You shouldn't bring them to Harlem.
Wow. And that's not even that far ago, long ago.
It was 2019.
2019.
Wow. And it reminded me again of these perceptions, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, you're basically telling me that I'm like, what? And it feeds into that. So as beautiful as we know Harlem is, there are absolutely stereotypes that still exist. This is no joke. On my block, there were more white families than black at one point. I was like, wait a minute, we're outnumbered in Harlem, but as wonderful as the neighborhood is and as complicated as it can be, it is also the subject of much stereotype.
Of course.
And so having a very educated friend say that to me was why I said, I'm going to make sure that this first book is in Harlem. It could have been in Texas. The little kid, he lives in Texas and he moves to Harlem because even in this day and age, it's so quick to have a knee-jerk reaction about a neighborhood and forget that there are people. The timing of the book being released, even with the wildfires in LA, I remember watching David Muir, and they were talking about Altadena, and it was like this neighborhood that had been forgotten. And I said, that's exactly why I wanted this book, because there are so many neighborhoods, not just with black people. I lived in Chicago, and one of the things I learned about Chicago is a city of neighborhoods. My first punchki I experienced, or going to Ukraine Village, or, I learned more about ethnicity living in Chicago because of the Irish community there, because of the Polish community there. And that, as a result, made me a better reporter, which now has made me the best talk show host that I think that I can be, because it gave me that exposure. So for me, the character starts out in Harlem, But the goal is to have this little guy. That's why his mother works at Studio Museum, because through her job, he'll be able to travel to other places. But it is tapping into authentic experiences I had. This little boy who I wanted to feel empowered and not feel afraid of new places and new faces. The woman in me who took great offense to someone saying that I shouldn't invite an executive to my home in Harlem. Wanting him to have an allyship with this young friend, and then having across the street this woman who is championing both. And she's a stranger, but she's a loving stranger. Down to even Ebony Glenn, my illustrator, I said to her, I wanted these characters to be soft, and I wanted you to hug them. And I wanted to see all those flags, the Jamaican flag, the Dominican flag, the Trinidadian flag, because that's what I see and saw when I would walk down the street.
And the illustrations are amusing. I mean, amazing, by the way.
They are amusing, too.
They're amusing, too.
It's funny. When my
little bees and all.
When my son first looked at the character, and he goes, "That's me." And I said, "Yes, that is you." And then there's a scene where his arms are folded and he's pouting. And he's like, "That's me, too." I said, "It is. It is absolutely you."
Drawing right from home. Inspiration right from home. All right, so you have the book. It'll be out in March. March 25th is the actual launch date. You can pre-order it now.
Yes.
So as you're getting ready for that, let's find out a little more about you. Now, we know you as the host and the professional. What do you do when Moses is, hanging out with Dad and you're having Tamron time?
Well, when he's hanging out with Dad, I'm truly jealous. I'll be honest with you. Because, I mean, maybe if I was in my 20s when I had my son, but I'm 48, I'm like at the office and like, "You're pregnant." Wait, what? Okay. Even though I'd gone through IVF.
And how was that whole experience telling people that, you're having the baby and everything?
It was no, I hadn't decided on how I was going to share the news. I kept my pregnancy private for 32 weeks because I was a high risk pregnancy. And, my team at the time got a call saying, "Hey, there's a tabloid that knows you're pregnant and saying they're going to put it out there." And I was like, "Well, they can't do that, but okay, whatever." So I said, "Okay." And that Baby Shark song was really popular at the time. And so I ran, and I had this white stretchy dress. I put the dress on. My husband got the camera. We were in Harlem, and I did the Baby Shark song and revealed that I was pregnant. And I knew it was going to obviously be like, whoa, because I'd been on air and I was off air at the time. I didn't know so many people would reach out who were experiencing fertility challenges, how many late to the party parents, as I call myself, would reach out. It was amazing. And to be able to share that and to share this desire of always wanting to be a mom and uncertain if it was going to happen, also getting married very late in my journey of life.
But it was on your time, in your time. Late by what society standards are, but right on time for you.
Yeah, and that's complicated. The love is by society standards, but biology is biology.
Right.
And so I recognize that as well. So
but modern technology.
And that is what we experienced. And we were very lucky to have what People magazine called our miracle baby. I was like, oh my gosh. But so I spend as much time with him. When I'm in my downtime, I love cooking. I really, really do.
What's that meal? What am I coming over for? What are we going to have?
Oh my God. I have so many go-tos. Oh gosh. In my cookbook, which I just made the other day, and I love this. It's our giant crab cake with a herb sauce. It is insane.
What kind of herbs are we putting in the sauce?
Oh, it's cilantro, it's parsley, a little garlic, olive oil. It's a very herby green chives, but it's really, it doesn't overwhelm. And the concept behind the giant crab cake is that when you go to the restaurant, they order, like two and everybody's fighting over the last bit of the crab. We make a huge skillet-sized crab cake, and it's like with real lump, no filler. It is bonkers. Even approved by Baltimore. I did the cooking tour, and I did some folks in Baltimore, and they don't play about their crab cake.
That's right.
So I made it for friends who are from Baltimore, and they went wild. But yeah, I love like what we call move the crowd, feed the crowd things. So I love breakfast. We have a beautiful cardamom French toast bake that you prepare overnight, and then you take it out, let it come up to room temperature, and bake it. It is absolutely divine. It comes with like these berries that you could booze up with a little sparkling Prosecco if you want. I love that. I love to barbecue.
You know how to do the grill yourself?
Well, I'm from Texas.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Never
mind.
My dad would have disowned me. No, like I have a grill here in the city, and then we have a little small house I grill. My husband is a Bronx, New York kid. He is the king of takeout. Right now, he's probably texting me, what are we going to get?
Listen, DoorDash is my bestie. Do you understand?
Then you guys would be best friends. I'm the opposite. I don't like to get a delivery. I like to cook, so I like to grill. So we have a triple B burger. It's a butter brioche burger that is bonkers. That's the next B in it. I love that's the way I decompress, because I used to ride my bike everywhere around the city, and then once I had my son, I was like, okay, I'm taking my life in my own hands, ride this bike around here. So I stopped riding my bike to my dismay. I just now do it like everyone else outside the house. So cooking replaced that like opportunity to just escape. When I would ride my bike in the city, you had to be present, right? People are opening doors, there's things jumping out, every kind of this. So I said, okay, cooking can be that for me. So oftentimes we shoot our show 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays. You will see me with my hand and my phone in my hand walking out the TH doors. I'm probably on Fresh Direct ordering, what I need to.
It'll be delivered by the time I get to the house.
Home. Right. I look at the New York Times cooking app a lot as well, but it's my thing. That's why when we were doing my book, my publisher wanted me to put a lot of cooking content, and I'm like, I can't do content and cook. I'm in the moment. I'm in the moment. Makes me feel so good to do that. I'm a TV junkie, as I said too. I decompress. I binge watch.
Give me a couple, 2-3 shows from back in the day that you used to watch.
Back in the day,
or maybe even the reruns that are coming on.
Currently, I'm obsessed with, of course, like everyone, White Lotus.
Yes.
I'm into Paradise.
Paradise Girl.
It's insane.
It's so good.
So good.
It's so good.
Yellow Jackets.
I have not gotten into Yellow Jackets
yet. I'm going to leave this interview right now. No. I'm out. Deja Vu. All right,
I'll check it out.
Oh, it's insane. I've been team that. I like sci-fi, when Walking Dead was hot. I was the first to the party.
I was not into that, but now I'm into like the Paradise, but I'm more Virgin River, Sweet Magnolias, romantic.
Oh, that's so sweet. Not me.
No.
Not me.
But my books though that I read are all like murder mystery stuff.
See, I love dystopian. I'm trying to get into Severance. But
that looks a little. That's gonna be brain work. I don't.
Random things like Sweet Tooth. Did you ever see that?
No.
Oh my God.
What? No, I told you.
See, no, I'm very like
Game of Thrones. I'm rewatching Game of Thrones. I was just watching the other day. Like, so good.
So good. Game of Thrones. House of Dragons.
Okay,
that's me. I am very. That's my wheelhouse.
Okay.
Yeah, I love anything, when Black Mirror, I was like, oh my God, this is the best show I've ever seen in my life.
That's
and then they did the movie.
He's into the Black Mirror
Yeah. That's me. That's me.
Okay, so now we know TV.
Yeah.
Music. What are we listening to? What are we seeing in the mirror? Are you, with your girlfriends, y'all at karaoke? What's the jam?
I have such random and chaotic music tastes. I can look at my iPhone
me too.
and see,
my friends and I were just singing Every Rose Has Its Soul. So I can go from that to Kendrick to everything.
You know why? Because, as I said, I'm 54 now. I grew up in the early days of only having MTV and FM. And so I often feel sad for the kids today because you get to pick your genre and you stick in it. But I watch MTV and everybody was on. So your music tastes were wide ranging.
Of course.
And so I could sing Islands in the Stream as good as I could sing, New Edition. So I had this wide range of music. And it still exists for me today. I'm really, really, truly my music of choice is hip hop. That is my genre.
Who's your artist and what are we spitting? Give me some lyrics.
Oh, I mean, I think, spit some.
Come on, you got bars, Tamron.
I do have bars. I do. Obviously everyone's about Kendrick right now, but I have been quite fascinated and this is not for my musical pleasure, but it's my interest. Chief Keef, I'm really into.
Is it because you lived in Chicago?
I think it's a fascinating and under-discussed version of hip hop that is an incredible storytelling that's not discussed enough. King Von. I find their authenticity and even their lives and subsequent death in King Von's case to be fascinating. I think it is a grittier, raw form of hip hop that would never be mainstream, but does reach to the authentic spirit of hip hop, which is you're supposed to be telling your story. And that dovetails back into my show and everything that I create. I'm obsessed with authentic storytelling. So whether it's this kid's book and Harlem Honey or the cookbook or the crime series, they're all authentic versions of me in some way in my ability to storytell. So that's why I find, that group of hip hop artists and their stories to really be compelling to me.
That is so fascinating. I never would have put that on your bingo card, or my bingo card, to have Tamron Hall say that she's listening to
Pop
King
Smoke,
Von and all that.
Julio. I mean, these guys have lived some very complicated lives. And I also think lives that are under-discussed and underreported.
Would you do something on them, a story,
absolutely,
a special?
100%. No, it's tough, but I've been working on ideas for King Von. I think he is and was probably one of the most fascinating young men, and
with a cult following,
like no other. And I think that it is what interests me right now. So I find myself, if you looked at my playlist right now, it would probably be a lot of King Von.
That is fascinating.
I know you didn't pick that on your bingo card.
I didn't. I would have never put that there. That is fascinating.
Yeah, my friends all know. They think they're like, you're this King Von obsession. And I'm like, yeah, because it is, because when I fell in love with rap, it was in the NWA stage. It was Eazy-E. That was.
But those were the storytellers. Ice Cube stories. Are you kidding me?
And I think in this way, in a different version, that's what. But theirs was so real, and I think it's interesting.
It's fascinating. All right, so we know about that.
Yeah.
Talk to us about, I've heard about a lot of successes. Yeah. Give me something where you had to really get back up again.
Well, I got fired on national TV.
I didn't want to go there, but I did. I want to know that story. Like, how did you overcome that and say, listen, I'm not.
Well, what choice do you have when you're knocked down? You can either lay on I got my first TV job through Joe Frazier and Burt Watson. Burt Watson, by the way, has a brilliant motivational book. You should look it up. Just look up Burt Watson motivational book. He's worked with some of the biggest boxers and MMA fighters in the world, and he and Joe Frazier helped give me my start in TV. And I just feel that, especially as a woman, right, a woman around the age that I was at the time, when you are down, what are your options?
Yeah.
And so at the time when I learned that I was no longer going to be at my old show,
which we were all mad about. Everybody at the station, we were all talking.
Listen, I appreciate it. I know I appreciated it so much, and y'all were so mad I didn't have to be. So, which is the great thing. It's like, and that allowed me to creatively think about the Tamron Hall show. And I tell people, you can't fly if dirt is on your wing, and you just can't. And that's a version of when they say, "Brush the haters off." It's all the same.
That's good.
But it's a true statement, and I wanted to fly, and so for me to be able to fly, I couldn't be mad. I needed to focus on the what's next. And so I did, and I will not lie, I enjoyed people being mad for me. Who doesn't want to know that they're,
of course, we
like
ride,
gang, right? It's like gang. Okay, I'm not going to front. I'm like, of course I'm happy you're mad. That means I meant something to you.
Yes, absolutely.
But I kept thinking you'll be even happier to see me reset. And so the talk show, and that's why when we announced season 7 the other day, I'm flooded with people from all walks of life saying, I'm so proud of you. And whether it's your parent or a friend or a stranger that says something, there's something about when your life makes others proud, right? That means so much. And for me, that's a layered thing. I love making other women proud. I love making other Black women proud. I'm like, Black people proud. I'm like, Texans, you make us proud, go home. There are people from the reddest part of the red state like, Tamra? I love, like, hey, I'm family with you too.
I know, that's right.
And so for me, that's a great feeling. And so that was a very challenging time. I won't tell you I didn't cry. Of course I cried and I felt rejection. But the thing about life is usually we're not everyone's first choice, even in love. I know right now somebody's in love and they're listening like, no, my husband loved me first. He probably had a crush in second grade. He probably the odds of you being your spouse's first love are so slim.
Right.
So really you were like the second, but that's okay because you're in the race, right? And in work, a lot of times we get the job. We don't know if somebody else turned that job down.
Right.
So to obsess over being the first or the most important was never my guiding light. It was being true to myself and creating things like the talk show, like the books, that provide an opportunity for me to say, okay, well, this is how you get up.
And now you're up.
Well, you know what? I am where God meant for me to be.
Oh, I like that. And for future, what's next for you after we do the book?
Don't you see I'm tired?
I'm going to sleep. I'm about to get some rest. No, we don't stop. But no, seriously, what's on your big picture dream? Your big goal board?
My big picture dream book. I want to executive produce content for other people. Yeah. I'm working on a couple of shows now where I am no longer on camera.
Wow.
But I am taking what I've learned, because the biggest thing that, when people say, what did you learn about this show? It's like Jay-Z's line, I'm a businessman. I learned how to be a businesswoman with this talk show. Even though I walk out for that hour and I'm the host of that show, 99% of my time is trying to figure out the business of it.
Yes.
And
it's ever evolving.
It's ever evolving. And so for me, taking what I've learned in that experience and helping other people navigate their business of TV. Mm-hmm. Even down to, listen, when I was picking out the clothes for the show, I was like, clothes are a weapon. It is not, everything I wear is deliberate.
Right.
Everything. There's a story behind it. It connects with the content in some way. It is not, everything is thought about, because everything matters. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we forget that. So if I can help other people executive produce shows and bring the best of who they are, and having a real support system, because I didn't always have that, and that's cool. Because we were in uncharted territory. Mm-hmm. But if I can pass that, that's my next incarnation. I don't want to wear any makeup or lashes. I want to just be in the background going, all right, go get it, baby. You got it. I want to be the coach, not the player.
I love it. Tamron, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you. I love you. And thank you for supporting Harlem Honey.
Yes, available March 25th. Yes, pre-order now.
Pre-order. I don't care if you're a grandma, uncle, auntie. Somebody said, I don't have a kid. I said, get the book and give it to a kid.
I know, that's right. Everybody can read Harlem Honey, and we can watch Tamron weekdays. Check your listings. Season 7's around the corner, but we're finishing out season 6 strong.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You got to come on my show now.
Come on. Done. Let's do this.
Okay, we're done. We're going to make it happen.